if you go back and you look at some of the celebrities who have died, their wives, if you look at some of the wives in history of celebrities, have died of lung cancer. So I just want to point this out, because if that is something in your life, really, really, really dig deep and consider, what grief are you not processing?
Empowering you organically, delivering content you trust with results you love.
Welcome, 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 welcome. We are back. It's the Live It Challenge. Happy Halloween. We're wrapping up week 4 of the Live It Challenge, and we are so glad you're here. I'm Joni. I'm the producer of the Organixx podcast, Empowering You Organically. And here at Organixx, we're passionate about vibrant health, and we're dedicated to empowering you organically. Whether that's through our squeaky clean supplements, our awesome episodes on the podcast, or our deep dive articles in our inspired library, we are a resource for you. So take advantage of it. Organixx Live It. We're in it to win it. And we're 4 weeks in, and I'm super excited. This week's physical challenge was 6,500 steps every day. The emotional challenge, you were to listen to 5 to 10 minutes of music daily while you're closing your eyes. And then, you close your eyes and you really can tune in there. And I hope you did that. And I hope you picked some music that you weren't familiar with, something new, and just to see how that felt for you. Oh, it was beautiful. I love that. I do that all the time anyway. So it wasn't new for me, but I liked the challenge of finding something I hadn't listened to, which wasn't easy. So now we get to dive deeper into the dis-ease in our bodies and how that's related to the emotions that we have trapped in there. So if you missed our guest that was on week 1, Ruth, you are going to want to go back and listen to that for sure. And take some notes, because there's some great information there. But today we're going to get started with diving in a little bit deeper with our emotions. So I'm honored to introduce you to Ruth Cummings. She will help you find the connection between emotion, pain, and disease in your body. She's the owner of Athletic Touch Therapeutic Massage, which she founded in 1995. She has over 50,000 hours experience as a massage therapist, working on all types of clients, ranging in age from infants to those that have hit 100, which is beautiful. Ruth has worked on professional athletes in the NFL, the baseball, the UFC fighters, and as well as amateur athletes too that are in college and high school. She specializes in chronic pain relief and injury rehabilitation. But her real passion is the treatment of emotional pain in teens and their parents. She has a bachelor's in psychology and creative writing, and she's a natural therapeutic specialist, as well as a personal trainer. She coaches soccer and tennis, and her coaching achievements include 2 high school state championships in soccer and 1 in tennis. She is an effective communicator. You're going to love this, especially with teens. And she offers personal coaching in positivity, anxiety control, and self-esteem. She's married with 2 teens, and her family loves to travel. So check out her blog. You can go, she's going to give you all this good information, but www.familyfitnesstravel.com is where you can find her blog. But we'll give you some more information a little bit later too. So with that, I'm going to let Ruth take it away. Thanks, Ruth.
Hey, thank you for the introduction. Very nice. That seems longer and longer every time. Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Halloween. If you believe in Halloween, I guess. I'm wearing my earrings, my little bats. So last time we talked about getting rid of things that we hold in our root chakra. So right by our tailbone, kind of by our belly button. So being grounded, that's the area for grounding. That's the area for belonging. That's the area for the enoughs, I call them. So then above that is fear and worry. So worry's in the front, fear's in the back, and how to recognize that and how to get rid of it, or at least to try. So today is one of my favorite parts. This is one thing that I work on the most in my practice, is on the heart, the chest, like this whole rib cage area, which includes the front and the back. So it's not just the front. So we have that whole area. So like, if you think about it, it's like when you have pain between your shoulder blades, that's this area. And then in the front, very few people get touched right here. And so sometimes I work right here, and I'm going to show you exactly where to go. So today we're going to talk about, in our short time together, we're going to talk about getting rid of and feeling things in your chest area, which is called the heart chakra, if you know your chakras. And then we're going to talk about the throat and things getting stuck in the bottleneck, not being able, I can't swallow that. That's hard to swallow, or letting things out from the heart chakra in through the throat chakra out. So here's some examples. Last time we talked about your dad, when you're 3, saying something, yelling at you, right? And you take it personally. You know, that's as 3-year-olds we do, and as many ages we do. So you're angry with your father, and you want to say something, and you open your mouth and nothing comes out. So this happens throughout our life, and we create a pattern to keep it stuffed. So this is what we're talking about, is we want that to come out, and it gets stuck right here. So right at your clavicle, your collarbone, there's some points right under that we want to work on to get that out. So last time when we talked about the root chakra and I keep trying not to call them chakras in case people don't know those. So, but the area, the large intestine, there's a meridian that you can help. And it comes like this, and we worked on this area with some massage, but it comes up to your arm and it goes up here and then down through the same point. So it's underneath your clavicle, and it's like the pushy, soft tissue right there. If you press in there, it shouldn't hurt. And often it does. And you can mash pretty hard, but don't be really hard. And sometimes if you're really good at feeling your body, you can feel that going into your lung. So what does the heart chakra hold? The heart and chest area, the main things that it's responsible for are love, courage, grief, and betrayal. There's a lot more, but those 4 are the main 4. So grief is a huge one. Grief is held in the lungs. So let's say you were a smoker. Let's say you started it as a teen, or whatever reason. Smoking is one of the best ways to suppress grief. So when people have some grief in their life and they smoke, it's putting a layer and a layer over that so it doesn't have to be felt. So that's one way. And if you are a smoker, one thing to think about is, wow, let's look at the time that I started and what was going on that I needed to suppress that, where smoking was more important than feeling the pain of the grief. So if you can kind of unravel that, because it wasn't as serious as you thought it was at the time, right? I'm going to die if I feel this grief. And now, especially if you're here listening to this, you have you have what it takes to process that and to heal from that. So if you look at, this is not a blanket statement, okay? So I don't want to scare people or say anything blanket statement, just something to recognize in history. If you go back and you look at some of the celebrities who have died, their wives, if you look at some of the wives in history of celebrities, have died of lung cancer. So I just want to point this out, because if that is something in your life, really, really, really dig deep and consider, what grief are you not processing? If you can process that, then you have a much better way of fighting that cancer. So if that's harboring that for you, then this is one way to try to get out of that, to try to process that. So one way to process it, again, is to work right here on that clavicle and notice if it causes fear for you. Because if it causes fear, even though fear is held somewhere else in the body, then your body and your mind aren't working together on your grief. It doesn't want you to get in there. So when I'm working on someone, just yesterday, for example, I've been working on someone who was in a car accident, and some stuff is coming up, and not wanting to look at a death that this person saw when they witnessed when they were 5 years old. So like that starts to come up. And when I'm working here, they're batting me away. So, I mean, they're talking and they're enjoying the massage. And I put my hand right here and they bat it away. They don't even know they're doing it, batting away. So I work on the back, because these points also have reflex points on the back. So for example, one way you can tell if pain in your chest area is emotional and not physical is because here's a common one. They come in, I have this pain right here on my shoulder blade, and no matter what I do, I can't get rid of it. I've done massage, I've done chiropractic, I've done everything. It's not going away. It's right here. It's right there. And I get that often. Sometimes I can get rid of it really quickly with some stretches and massages. But it's not coming there. You guys have heard before where pain is not coming from that area. If it is coming from the front, then it's really great to have them do some journaling, maybe find a counselor. I know it's hard during this pandemic, but you can find someone online, but find some prompts to talk about the past, fear, and grief. Look at what you're grieving or not grieving, avoiding. The reason it starts to harbor is because you're avoiding that grief. So that's grief. Let's look at love. Let's say you love somebody and you can't say it, right? You love them and you want to say it. It's really scary. And you can't speak it. It doesn't come out. So here's another one where it comes up like this and it just stops. So the heart again holds love, courage, grief, and betrayal. But let's look at speaking the grief, speaking the love, speaking betrayal, speaking anger, expressing yourself. So this is a huge part between the rib cage, what that's holding, working in tandem with the throat. So the throat is really good at closing down. So if if your voice starts to just go like this, you hear that, if it does that, that's a indication, kind of a red flag, like, oh, or, it's actually hard to swallow. Like it's physically hard to swallow. And you're like, wow, I don't have a sore throat, but look around you at what's hard to swallow. And so you have this grief, you have this love, and you want to express it. And in our life, again, when we're little, we learn to keep that suppressed. So the example of talking to our father, sometimes it's disrespectful. Sometimes if you're in an abusive relationship, it's dangerous, right? You can't say anything because you're going to be, you could be in danger. So there's definitely reasons that make sense as a 7-year-old, as a 3-year-old, as a 15-year-old, as a 30-year-old. And, but when you're ready to heal, when you're ready for that to process, then your body will start to show you with little hints. The hints start coming in pain, usually pain, stomach pain, neck pain, that pain right there. These are indicators that, hey, I need some help. Hey, mind, this is your body talking. Please listen. And then if you don't listen, guess what happens? It gets worse or it changes. Oh, wow, I used to have shoulder pain, but now my foot's hurting. It came out of nowhere. So this is what I get in my office often is when people say, well, I just don't know where it came from. I was fine last week. I do everything right. And all of a sudden these pains come up. So if the pain comes in the throat or right here or in the back, the first thing I do is first I try to open the back. So if you don't have a massage therapist around, what you can do is some foam rolling. If you know some foam rolling on your back, and remember to avoid your rib cage. If you're not familiar with foam rolling, you might try something different, maybe some cat-cow stretches, because you can actually hurt your ribs if you're not very good at it. So the cat-cow stretch, there's a million places to find that online. Cat-cow stretch is excellent for this because it does both sides of the chest, both sides of the heart chakra, and then it helps this come through your throat. So I wanted to show you something really quick. This is very rudimentary, okay? There's lymph drainage. So one thing that you can do if your throat, if you're going, if you're doing one of those, or if you can't swallow or one of those things, what you can do is take your fingers right here underneath that clavicle, actually right above it, sorry, right above the clavicle, and pump. Just go boop, 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 about 50 times. So let's say that I've done that 50 times. It's quite a bit. Boop, 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 okay. Then you take your hands up here, like behind your ears and in your throat. This is very rudimentary again. If you have a lymph drainage therapist around you, go see them. But if you can't get to somebody, go like this and pull it to those lymph nodes you just worked on. So you kind of want to pump them, get them ready, and then you pull this, all that lymph down. And okay, so that's just a rudimentary way of doing that. You can also do it on your back, on the back of your neck, and pull it forward. Okay, and then pump again. So I'm getting some stuff in my throat from that, just from that right there. Like I have to clear my throat. So that's a great way to do that. So the problem with that sometimes is that, so if you have throat issues and you don't have as much stuff going on in your chest, that's awesome. But the thing is that's pulling that into your throat, into your heart chakra. So if this is the area that's really tight, if you press in there and you're like, woo, no, nobody should hurt there. Nobody should be touched there. That's what my husband says. Don't touch me there, because he has a lot of grief in his life. So like right here, if it really hurts, again, you can work on it. But let's talk about that. So when we're working on ourselves, we need to use so much love. There's not enough self-love, right? Tenderness. So again, when I'm working on somebody, but especially myself, I want to pull that from the deep inside myself, that just love, the best love I have. And I have it come through here and through my fingers to whoever I'm touching. My intention is to heal. My intention is to love them, every single cell. And when you do that to yourself, you have to do that too. You see it, visualize it coming out, and you go right here. And you try to heal that. It can be very, very tender. A 10 out of 10. I say 0. How does this feel to you? 0 is no pain. 10 is being ripped by a shark, ripped apart by a shark. It's a 10. It's a 10. I'm like, really? So, I mean, it can be very, very tender for people. So if that's tender, that's what you can do. So bring that down, but also work on it. You can also, so you're going to do the cat-cow stretch because you want to get that clavicle back and then forward, and then back, and then forward. So another thing about the chest is that it already has an armor, right? Our chest and our back, it has the rib cage. It has this armor. So consider that that's already there. But most people that I work on who have grief issues, they have armor around the armor where I can hit them on their chest, and it's just so, so hard. One way you can tell you have this armor in there is that there is, it's cold. The pulse doesn't come very quickly. When you breathe, your chest doesn't move very much. Yes, those are a couple things that you can do. So, or you can kind of diagnose whether you have, if this is something you're holding. You probably know. If it's something that you don't know, but that this area is still happening, just watch for these things to show up. So this area is green. This area is blue. I sent some sounds to listen to. I love these sounds. There's so many of them that you can choose whichever ones you'd like. But I listen to these often. I have them going in my massages. I think they're very good. I change them depending on what the person is complaining about. If it's something in their heart area, I will change it to a chest heart chakra music. So I sent some in the links down below. And so your throat, something you need to say, something you need to hear. So when you, like we talked about, you're talking to your dad. Let's say you were fired from your job and you want to talk. You want to tell that boss, you want to tell them. Well, it doesn't come out. You don't actually have to speak to that person in order to heal your throat. There's a bunch of things. And Joni, I think I did. There's an article I wrote on 19 ways to get emotional pain out of your body.
Yes.
And one of those, so we talk about there's singing, dancing, there's a bunch of them. So go in there and read that. There's a bunch that you can do to get rid of your throat stuff. Anything that vibrates this is helpful. So singing, and we talked about this last time, just kind of pounding on your chest a little bit can get that to vibrate. You don't want to hurt yourself, but you want it to go where your voice does that. And then any type of singing. So the om, and the thing about om, or any sound that you're singing, that you're humming, is different person. So you want it to vibrate where you're hurting. If you're hurting like in your jaw, if you have TMJ and headaches like that, you want it to vibrate up here. If so, and it's different. So that's the thing, is there's no one sound that's best for every person, because our throat they're different sizes. So try different things. Go e, and there's so many videos about that. But my point is to you, you want to vibrate this area. Now, this whole thing, the throat chakra and the throat bottleneck happening in your body happens in the front and in the back. So sometimes people ignore one or the other. And I've had some things that I didn't want to talk about in my lifetime, as everybody has. And so let me tell you what I went through. So first of all, I played soccer, and I hurt my neck by heading and hitting people very hard. I fell off a couple horses and I hurt my neck. So there's some physical stuff that happens, right? Because certainly not everything is psychosomatic, right? We have our injuries in our life. So I started having some very severe, I couldn't swallow, and my neck was hurting. When I went to an orthopedic surgeon about my neck, they wanted to do some surgery, but they weren't noticing that this was inflamed. And when I went to somebody for the front, they didn't notice that I had some severe neck pain in the back. Well, when I had some other work done on my throat, this got better and this got better. And so I just want to open that so that you don't always have to do what's right in front of you. Look at some other options. So I did a lot of throat work. And so just think about those. To be open to creating your own medical team, right? We talked about this last time. Your own medical team that supports you. And it might not look like you think it looks like. Be open. I always say be open. Lead with your heart, and find some other ways that might help you. Okay, so when you don't hear what you want to hear, what does that look like? You shouldn't be with that boyfriend. I can't believe that person just said that to me, right? But it's true. That's not working. Right? Your body knows. Your body's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're in this relationship. And the mind is like, we're staying. We're whatever. No one tells me what to do. Whatever your stubborn ego is saying. So what happens? So that's what you can't swallow. You can't swallow that. That's one of the, I'm using that as one example. There's a gazillion examples. But when you can't swallow, things start to tighten up. And so how can you help that? Again, singing, vibrating this area as best you can. So of course, everything like we talked about last time, breathing is the number one. If you're ever in doubt, take deep breaths. really, really dig deep and learn how to meditate better. Do it while you're walking. Listen to some things by Thich Nhat Hanh, who talks about, he's just beautiful, how you live every moment. If you're washing the dishes, for example, you feel the water, that whole scenario. So walk through every moment. So breathing, learning to breathe will really help your throat, because that has to go through there, right? And notice, if you get good at this, what you can do is notice if you change your thought process and you start thinking about something that's uncomfortable, something that's bothering you, does your throat tighten? Is your throat part of is it managing this for you? Like I said, everybody has managers. We have muscle managers in our body. A lot of people, it's in our throat. Some people, it's in the back of the neck. Some people, it's in the front of the neck. I've seen people in the jaw, the top here. I've seen it up here, seen it in hands, feet. So everybody has a different manager. But the things that you can do to help this, besides singing, you can do some, of course, breathing, drink some hot tea. So cold tea or cold is not as good for this one. So hot tea is better. Singing, finding some mantras that are good for your throat. For communication. And so the other thing that helps this area is any type of communication. So like I was saying, you don't need to talk to the person that this is pointed at. For example, you don't need to talk to your father, or you don't need to talk to the person who told you not to date this boyfriend, right? You don't need to talk to that person. What you can do to help your throat is to write it out, is to sing it out, is to just communicate in the outside. So if you need to, some people have to write letters that are really, really difficult to write. They're very, very difficult. And actually, even if the person isn't living, please just write it to them. And I have another idea, what's called having tea with someone who is alive or not alive, where you can, and I can explain that in another, that's a whole other situation, but where you can get what you need to say out. You can say what you need to say. So again, this, the lymph drainage, and I'm noticing that we only have a few minutes. So should I keep going? Okay, great. And so, so listen to those, the music, okay? Do some singing, sing in the shower, sing while you're driving, really belt, like really move this area. You can massage the back of your neck, use heating pads, not ice. Don't use ice, use heating pads. Really learn to breathe, drinking hot tea, doing some mantras, writing down what bothers you. When you're writing down and you notice that it creates tension somewhere in your body, that's probably your manager. So pay attention. Once you get really good at it, and it's so cool because you didn't know that you didn't know. Once you know, this whole other world opens up, right? It's just so cool. Like you're like, wow. And all kinds of things become possible because you're aware. Your awareness is alive. One of my favorite books, you guys, is by Michael Singer, called Untethered Soul. Excellent book. And that talks about, one of my favorite parts in that book, he talks about having a thorn that happens earlier in life, and it's a pain that happens in your life, right? And instead of taking the time and the energy and the scariness of taking that thorn out and then stitching up and healing the wound, we build our lives to avoid the thorn, right? It's the same thing, same type of thought process. Once you see that you have a thorn, then you're like, oh, okay, this wasn't as scary. I'm actually not going to die if I take the thorn out. And then all these possibilities start showing up that are really beautiful. And then you can really start to heal. So, okay, oh, cat-cow, you guys, cat-cow. Oh, move your shoulders like that. These are things that can help. And then try to put all of these together. We didn't work on the power chakra in the middle, but we worked on these top two and the bottom two. And then there's two on top, but those are spiritual and very important as well. So I have a email list now for a prayer chain. So should I talk about that now? Is that okay? Okay. So I'm starting an international, all humans, all denominations, all religions. If you're human, join the list. And let's start to send love to each other and send healing energy to each other. There's so many people that need support. And you can request to be prayed for, and you can request to be a prayer warrior, or both. And then put in, you can be as anonymous as you'd like or as detailed as you'd like. And then I'm starting to put that together to get that out for everybody to support each other. And then my email list, I have about to start. You guys will be the first one. So thank you for joining already, you guys. And thank you for the emails. So much support. And I just appreciate the love. So I have so many tips to share. So I'm going to share them in a weekly newsletter called In Touch with Kindness. I love that. So you guys can be the first one if you want. Hopefully it'll be out. I don't know what day it's going to come out, either on Sundays or on Mondays or on Tuesdays. I'm talking to my husband about that. But yeah, jump in there and get get some of these tips. And if you have any tips, please share them. I love this kind of stuff. I can talk about it all day. If you guys have any questions, you need some support, please email me and I am available.
Oh, Ruth, that was beautiful. And I know we just scratched the surface. I know we do.
Wow.
But the beautiful part of that is that you put a crack in the door for us, right? And you shine a little light there. And then all we have to do is follow that. And I've added some of the links into the chat so they can grab them. Plus, we'll have all the links in this will be an episode on our Empowering You Organically podcast, not next week, but the week after. And I'll have all of the links there for you. So you can always go there to find. And her last talk was fabulous as well on the root chakra. And it is our episode number, why would I not know that, Ruth? 108. Look for episode 108, letting go of emotional pain, and you'll find that there. Yeah, that was beautiful. I really reverberated with what you said today. And there's a lot of work to be done there. I thought I was, you think you've got it going on and you've worked through some things, but there's so much, because we're not taught how to do this. It's not part of like the social norm. I think it's becoming more so. And I find that to be beautiful, because that's a lot of wasted time and energy to me. And that did bring good.
Right. I know.
So that's a good thing. If
anybody has any questions, I'm happy to, but it's some of these, they're very personal.
Yes.
Very personal. So some of the emails I got, they're very personal. And of course, so it's a deep stuff, and it's so fascinating. It's so amazing, but you can do it. You can do it.
Absolutely, they can. Absolutely. I love that we add the emotional piece to the challenge, because it's not, like I said, I think on the very first episode, it's not about fitting into a prom dress or your prom tux or what have you. This is about a lifestyle. This is about a foundation that you can sustainably have vibrant health for the rest of your life. Do we have aches and pains as we get older? Yeah, we do, because we wear out a little bit. But there's so much open to us that it just makes you feel good. So we're getting ready to head into week 5. Wow. So now we're up to 7,000 steps every day next week. You can do it. I believe in you. And, I love this one so much. Everybody should do this all the time. Write down 3 things each day that you are grateful for. You can do this in the morning. You can do it at night. You could do 3 in the morning and you can do 3 at night. I don't care if you had a bad day and the only thing that you write down is, I got out of bed today and I brushed my teeth and I combed my hair. Be grateful for that. Be grateful for that. And it shifts your mindset. It shifts your experience as a human. It really does. So we'll have our class next Saturday, and we'll do a little more mindfulness. We'll get deeper into mindfulness with Angie. And this week, though, we want to thank Ruth for this beautiful, beautiful talk on emotions. Thank you so much, Ruth.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, as always. So fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do it again. You know we will.
All
You
right.
guys have a fabulous day. Happy Halloween.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.